seemingly overnight, this ancient metropolis of nearly 1 million souls vanished.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 ancient cultures lost to time.
Most Maya cities had collapsed. Among the theories are warfare, a volcanic eruption, and, perhaps most likely, drought.
Number 10. The Olmecs. Mesoamerica was home to many famous lost cultures. The earliest were the Olmecs, whose civilization lasted over 1,000 years between roughly 1500 BCE and 400 BCE.
They were one of the first civilizations of the Americas. They built the first pyramid and the first planned city in this part of the Americas, devised one of the earliest known systems of writing.
Primarily located on the Gulf Coast of present-day Mexico, the Olmecs are most famous for carving large stone heads as well as several pyramids. However, much about them remains a mystery.
It's clear that by 900 BC, the Olmec had become a supremely confident society.
Why their culture died out is the biggest question mark, with theories suggesting environmental changes as the most likely culprit.
But whilst the Olmec civilization faded from history, their influence outlasted them.
Even the Olmecs' name for themselves is unknown, since the word Olmec is merely the Aztec term for the ancestral people who lived in the area, meaning rubber people. Number 9. The Kingdom of Aksum. Also called the Aksumite Empire, the Kingdom of Aksum was located in present-day Ethiopia and parts of the Horn of Africa, as well as the southern Arabian Peninsula.
The rulers of the Kingdom of Axum controlled trade between Africa, Arabia, and India. And according to local tradition, Axum was founded by the son of the legendary Queen of Sheba.
Aksum became a great power during antiquity due to its near monopoly on the trade between Rome and India. Aksum is also famous for its elaborate gravestones known as stelae or obelisks.
The distinctive monumental feature of these narrow stelae was how the rulers marked their tombs. They were built from solid stone and are believed to date from around 300 AD.
These became less common following the kingdom's conversion to Christianity. The rise of Islam in the Middle East heralded the beginning of a gradual decline for the kingdom, and Aksum became virtually lost to history after its collapse.
And how in time Aksum's decline gave rise to new Christian and Islamic kingdoms.
Number 8. The Mycenaean Civilization. One of the first major Greek civilizations, the Mycenaeans flourished during the last part of the Bronze Age.
We can see what a profound influence the Mycenaean culture had on the Greeks. The Mycenaean civilization handed down its own image to posterity.
Much of their culture was centered around palaces in which administrative and commercial business was conducted. The biggest of these was located at Mycenae, hence the civilization's name.
Its monumental gate, overlooked by 2 lions, still inspires awe.
While the Mycenaean civilization declined, along with many others in the late Bronze Age collapse, much of their culture was passed on to successive Greek civilizations. This included everything from their gods to the origins of city-states such as Athens and Thebes. The Mycenaeans may even have been those who took part in the semi-legendary Trojan War.
The Mycenaeans fought a war against this city that has captured the imagination of historians and generations of students.
Number 7. The Minoan Civilization. A previous culture related to and eventually taken over by the Mycenaeans, the Minoan civilization was primarily centered on the island of Crete and may have been the first civilization in Europe.
From the very beginning, the Minoans ventured out into the world beyond their shores because they lacked the material that defined their age: bronze.
Like the Mycenaeans, the Minoan civilization was also palatial. However, very little about their religion or social structure is known compared to their contemporaries.
The Minoans specialized in the production of the desirable rather than the strictly useful. Deluxe pottery, cosmetics, fancy metalwork.
There may have been some cultural influence between the two, though to what degree is uncertain. The Minoan subsumption into Mycenaean civilization and the chaos of the Bronze Age collapse led to them becoming nearly forgotten for millennia, with their rediscovery only truly occurring in the 20th century.
It would be a combination of sea-borne disasters that would cause the eclipse of Minoan civilization and its journey into the shadowlands of myth.
Number 6. The Mississippian Culture. No, not the residents of the modern U.S. state of Mississippi. Rather, this pre-Columbian Native American culture thrived throughout the region of what is now the USA from roughly 800 to 1600 CE.
Located at the confluence of three rivers, whose waters provided both food and transportation, Cahokia reached an estimated population of 20,000 people by 1150 AD, which was larger than London at the time.
Originating from the Mississippi River Valley, the Mississippians are perhaps best known for their mounds. These were large earthen platforms atop of which they built their settlements, the largest of which was called Cahokia, located in present-day Illinois.
It was a city complete with suburbs, plazas, and markets. Now keep in mind that there were many permanent Mississippian settlements scattered throughout North America, but this one was by far the largest and most influential.
While they had no form of writing, some of their cultural practices survived in successor tribes. Their civilization was already on the decline by the time European settlers arrived, with some explanations pointing to environmental causes and famine.
No one knows what happened to the great Mississippian mound builders. They simply vanished.
Number 5. The Indus Valley Civilization. Everyone knows about ancient cradles of civilization: Egypt, Mesopotamia, China. But their more obscure and crucial contemporary was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization.
It appears that the Harappans were the beneficiary of a favorable climate window when the monsoons were not too strong, so that you can practice the inundation agriculture.
Based in what is today Pakistan and northwestern India in the Indus Valley, this civilization possessed impressive architectural achievements for the time, with evidence of urban planning as well as drainage and water supply systems.
Because of Mohenjo-Daro's grand scale, archaeologists believe it may have served as a seat of power for the Indus civilization.
However, despite the Indus civilization's size, it eventually dispersed, with drought being the most commonly theorized reason. Despite its influence on successive cultures, the Indus Valley Civilization's language remains currently undeciphered, leaving much about it still mysterious.
In 1800 BCE, however, the monsoon was weaker and changed the course of the river, directly impacting the fall of the civilization.
Number 4. The Kare Empire. The Kare Empire, or Kamboja, was a dominant force in Asia between 802 and 1431 CE. Its capital city, Angkor, boasted the incredible Angkor Wat Temple complex, still a hugely important site in modern Cambodia.
The Temple of Angkor Wat is one of hundreds of temples that make up the Angkor World Heritage Site. Angkor was once the largest city on Earth.
The Khmer Empire maintained control through access to water, utilizing elaborate systems of canals and reservoirs to facilitate trade and agriculture.
This is the reason why the Angkor civilization was extremely successful, because their engineering achievements in terms of water management were unparalleled pretty much anywhere else in the world.
It also had one of the world's earliest healthcare systems, boasting over 100 hospitals. The empire's striking palaces and architecture remain, and much of what is known about its culture is derived from Angkor Wat's bas-reliefs, as well as historical accounts from visiting Chinese diplomats. The Khmer Empire faced a slow decline from internal and external strife, as well as climate change.
When the system failed during the drought, Angkor could not grow enough rice to sustain itself.
Number 3. Chatal Hook. One of the world's oldest discovered cities, Chatal Hook was located in the south of modern Turkey.
9,000-year-old settlement. 9,000 years old.
Amazing, isn't it? So, at its maximum extent, it's 13 hectares.
Founded over 9,000 years ago, this Neolithic city's most striking feature is the fact that its buildings were clustered together, with few, if any, formal streets, and most buildings being accessed through the rooftops.
The people who lived here walked across town over the rooftops. Roofs were also where they worked.
The interconnected, stacked nature of the city has led to its remarkable preservation. Chatal Hook appeared to have an egalitarian society, and its people may have worshipped a goddess.
Life here seems to have been pretty egalitarian. So far, there's no evidence of any hierarchy in terms of buildings or spaces, and everyone's house seems to have been pretty much the same size.
While much about the city is still being uncovered, The lack of nearby water sources likely led to its eventual abandonment prior to the Bronze Age. Number 2. The Maya Civilization. The Maya civilization is arguably the most famous one on our list. This Mesoamerican civilization ruled over the Yucatan Peninsula to varying degrees for over a millennium.
They're considered one of the most advanced civilizations to have existed in the Americas before the Spanish conquest.
Known for its massive step pyramids, advanced architecture, calendar, as well as innovations in mathematics and astronomy, the Mayans were among the most advanced North American cultures.
The Maya built magnificent urban centers consisting of stone structures, including pyramid temples that were central to Maya religious practices.
Millions of Maya descendants still live in essentially the same region. However, while their spoken language has survived with many variations, Spanish colonizers destroyed most examples of their written heritage, which led to much of the history of the Maya civilization being lost.
More than 7 million Maya are estimated to be alive today in their indigenous homelands and around the world. While they participate in modern global life, they continue to follow agricultural and ceremonial practices of their ancestors.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Sea Peoples. During the late Bronze Age collapse, one of the contributing factors to the downfall of many of the notable civilizations of the time is suggested to have been the so-called Sea Peoples.
Evidence from archaeological sites across this region point to wave after wave of invasion from the sea. Hordes of marauders razing entire cities to the ground. Right at the point the Bronze Age collapse occurred.
These raiders attacked several Eastern Mediterranean cultures, including Egypt, Cyprus, and Phoenicia. Unlike most lost civilizations, information about the Sea Peoples is particularly scant. The primary source of information about them comes from their victims.
Crucially, the hieroglyphs detail a previously unknown group of people arriving by sea, an armada of marauders, unified together and strong enough to attack the mighty Egyptians.
Hypotheses about their possible origins include everything from nationless pirates to the Trojans. But without a way to connect the Sea Peoples to a specific home, their origins remain a mystery.
At least part of the equation has got to be a large proportion of the population who was disaffected, dissatisfied, disenfranchised, unable to feed themselves, rootless, stateless people who are reduced to raiding.
Is there a lost civilization that we're uncivilized for forgetting? Enlighten us in the comments.
The end of the Aksumite dynasty spelt the rise of a new one known as the Zagwe dynasty.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.